Welcome back, everybody, to the screen, to the channel, to the screen as well, I guess. Need to update the study spot text. We'll do that in a second. So I set up the spot, and I'm not entirely sure if I set it up correctly. So it's supposed to be a button 3-bet button versus cutoff, the button 3 bets. And for that purpose, I loaded up the button 3-betting range. Just redo that, which is, I just downloaded here. Button 3-bet range, and that's the one I selected here using import database. Oh. The fuck? I guess now it works. Huh. Well, cool. Good stuff. Then let me double check that I got this correctly. We can change the flop later on. That is fine. So just want to double check that I have this correctly now. 3-bet pot, we are in position, we are the button. It's button versus cutoff, not monotone. We go with a straight board for now. And it is this one, 9-8-7. 9 of spades, 8 of diamonds, 7 of clubs, yes. And then the same thing. Post flop ranges, 3-bet pots. In position straight. And now it's the 50% betting range. Cool. Right on. So. That is that. Now I just need to adjust the on-screen thingy. So it's actually, you can just copy that one out. Okay. Let's get to training. Just need to start up the poll. And then we're good to go. One would be to check. Option 2 would be to bet 50%. And that's that. Cool. So, alrighty. Let's do this then. Yeah, I don't know what I could swear I was clicking the exact same buttons earlier, but apparently I wasn't. So it's helpful that we see the spot post flop we've selected up here as well. And it's just showing us a lot of strong hands here. The hands, yeah, go with that. And well, I guess we keep the high EV ones in there as well. So I'd say for this one we don't need a poll. That's just gonna be a pot. We don't need a bluff with this hand on this board ever, I think. More interesting. Do we sometimes bet this one? We have 2 pair. I guess we have a future blocker, 2 backdoor flushes. And we are up against the cutoff. So this should be well within both of our ranges, the cutoffs and the buttons. Say we go with a check. Yeah. Got no, for that one we got no straight blockers, no immediate blockers. The queen is a future blocker. We have the 2 backdoor flush for us. We would hate to get raised. We have top 2. Ace, queen, queen 6 has to be a check as well. That's an interesting one. So now this time around we have 2 excellent future blockers. So if we get raised, we still... we also have the 6. I didn't think about the 6. The 6 is pretty crucial to have here, and in combination with the queens, I could see this being a bet. It's actually higher EV than checking, because we do get a bunch of folds, I would say, right away. We block one backdoor nut flush draw, have a backdoor flush draw, block the other backdoor flush draw a little bit. Interesting one though. I'll take note. It's very much a mixed strategy still. By the way, let's change the threshold here to maybe 5. So it doesn't tell us wrong if we are off by more than 5% if it's a mixed strategy. And this time we flop the nuts with the pair and the backdoor flush draw. Any reason not to bet? I think so. We're still getting called by a bunch. We don't block lower straights. We don't. We block one set, but you know, other sets are still gonna call us. And it's still very much a mixed strategy because I guess we do have to protect our checkback range. Remember, we are in position here. And that makes sense. Like flipping a coin every once in a while. Half the time we bet, half the time we check. Sounds pretty decent to me. In case you're just joining, the study spot is on the screen. We are on the button versus the cutoff. We 3-bet the cutoff open. We see a flop currently of 987. And we're assuming 500 star zoom rake. And even though for pre-flop stuff, we're going to go back to PLO 50 rake for the next times. For post-flop stuff, we're going to stick to 500 for the simple fact that all the simulations done on the Mastermind are for PLO 500. So obviously we're going to utilize those. So I'm interested to see the percentages here. Here we have a redraw to a better straight. Any jack, any 10 gives us, makes us going from the nuts to going from the nuts yet again. We have 2 backdoor flushes. Don't block a pair from the board, but hold a 6. So I would guess it's more of a check than a bet. The last one was basically a coin flip, so maybe that's like 60% or more check. Or I could also be approaching this from the wrong end, and it's more of a bet because we don't block a pair. All right, so you know what? One thing that became apparent in the last couple of days is that the solver likes to bet with 2 backdoor flushes. So maybe that's a small factor, but that's just, there's no mixing going on here at all. It's 100% bet, even though checking actually yields a slightly higher EV, but it's so insanely high anyway. So I guess here if we get raised, we're rather happy since we are very likely free rolling our opponent. This is the 100% bet then, as opposed to the Jack 10, Ace Jack 10 7, where they didn't have a redraw. Let's draw a weaker backdoors and we're blocking a pair from the board. All right, so we're unblocking the board. We have a redraw. I would assume that all of these are factors, making this 100% bet as opposed to the 50-50 earlier. All right, I'll do my best to keep that in mind. Bottom 2 with an open-ender, 2 backdoors. Oh, wow, a whole bunch of people just showed up. I guess you guys really like that training stuff, huh? Well, welcome everyone. We are doing... answering in the Discord. Janettis was kind enough to ask about a question that I had earlier when I wasn't able to figure out the... I had problems setting the spot up. Oh wow, so that explains where all of you coming from. Well, that is very kind of Janettis putting an announcement in the Mastermind Discord. Cheers, thank you, in case you're watching. Right, so I'd say this is a bet, and I don't know what we do against the raise here. What do you guys feel? Pilot raise saying check. I'm the only one betting. I'm starting to feel weird about it. Well, you know what? We checked earlier. We had a hand where we had top two. We didn't have a straight draw though, but that was a check. So, okay, you convinced me. So it's mostly a check, sometimes a bet. What do you guys think if we bet and we get 3-bet, we get check raised? What do we do? Not blocking straights, we probably have to let it go, right? Even though we have the open-ender having the, yeah, fold, right? We have the idiot end of the open-ender. The 2 backdoor flushes are likely not really helpful at that point. Fold. Cheers! Appreciate the input. All right. This one. With pair, gutter, 2 backdoors. And a pretty decent blocker holding the jack. So personally, I would check this all day long, but I'm curious to possibly improve on this spot. Maybe the solver has a different approach and has at least a mixed strategy. Well, this time we do have a mixed strategy in the chat. I'd still check it. At least I would have until now. With backdoor. Oh, okay. Keena's saying deciding factor being the 2 backdoor flushes. It is in line with what we've seen in the last sessions. Solver does prefer to bet. Okay, you kind of convinced me with that line of thinking. You swayed me over to the betting. And it is indeed favored by a decent clip. Also slightly more profitable. Cheers, Kansas. Keena, sorry. Not Kansas. Right. So, the good takeaway there. Was the double suited. And you know what? We can check this out for the ace queen jack 7. See how the numbers change there if it's single suited. Ace queen jack 7. But I believe you're going to be right there on this one as well, Keenas. Oh, we don't have that one. Yeah, okay. In the 3-bit pot, of course, we don't have that one. But yeah, like in a spot where somehow we would be there with the single suited one. That's the pattern we've seen. You're absolutely right. I need to move this back in the foreground. We are in position. Oh yeah, that's probably very important. A very important detail there. We are in position. Let me update that in the study spot. Steve Exy, hey. Thank you very much for that follow. How does the spot look overall? Dezoo, hey, welcome back. Oh, welcome. Without buckets, can we show? Yeah, we can. That's a good point. Maybe we should look at the spot overall in the first place. Snowman KW, thank you very much for following. So we do check the majority of our hands, 72%. Wow. And D Saley 77, thank you for following. And we bet 50%. We bet 27% of our range for 50% sizing. Okay, didn't get it in 1, but got it in 3. So let me update that. Let me update the poll for the next one. Just so it's clear who we are. We are the button. We are the in position player here. Thought it was more like 90-10 on the straight board. Well, I mean, we do hit it at a decent clip at the button, as the button, I'd say. But I couldn't have guessed what the numbers would have been up front, to be honest, so not dissing that guess. Okay, so now keep in mind what Kino said a couple of minutes ago. We have top and middle. The jack as a blocker is kind of interesting, so I would suspect we're not going to see 100% check. Maybe it's even... This is the spot with the hearts again. It's something we've had come up quite a lot. When we have the ones, two of the one suit that is not on the board. The pattern which seems to be that the solver prefers betting at a decent clip. Not saying this has an influence on a board as coordinated as this, but I just wanted to mention it. Everybody checking. Yeah, I think at runtime, I just check this too. Curious to see if it'll be 100%. No. And let's check that out and to see if the hearts make a difference. If a hand that is double suited and... Well, if it's double suited and doesn't have hearts, well, we'll just see. Queen, Jack, 7. So what's the deal? Let's take a look at the hard ones first. Queen, Jack, 9, 7. Okay, so this one appears here as well, since it is mixed strategy, and in case you forgot, it is a 76% check. But it does sometimes get bet, and, you know, just to bring it into view again. EV, not hugely different. It's sorted by probabilities, maybe. Okay, so we're looking at the mixed strategy overall anyway. Almost 100% bet with 2 high backdoor flushes. And the jack is probably a huge factor here. Yeah. Very much in line with what we've seen the last couple of sessions and what Kino said. That solver vastly prefers betting with 2 backdoor flush draws, and that seems to be a pattern so far. And then there's also 2 backdoors, and then at a decent clip with the 9-7 of hearts here twice, or the like a 2 of hearts. Very curious. So there's something about that. Something about having 2 of the suits with a double suited hand that is not on the board, on a rainbow board. All right. Here's Queen, Jack, 8. We have a pair from the board. We have blocker. No backdoor flush draws. I'm basically wondering if this is always a check or if there's some betting mixed in here. What if we do versus a raise with the last hand? Now that's a good question. And it's one I currently cannot answer using the bucket tool. What was the last hand? That was the Queen, Jack, 9, 7. So we have 2 pair, 2 backdoor flush draws with the jack. So we have a gutter, 2 the nuts, 2 pair, 2 backdoor flush draws. But I don't think are we stack off territory yet if we get 3-bet here and call? I think we can still call, right? Yeah, but I think, like, what do you guys think about Dezu's question? Can we fold there if we bet and get raised? Like if somebody repots into us? I'm ashamed to say that I couldn't even offhand tell you if we'd be all in at this point. I don't think we would be yet. Although it's 3. Not quite. I think there's still some money left to play for. I think we call. It's a good question. I'm curious to see what you guys think. So it's with the Queen, Jack, 9-7, this one here. Yeah, I think we have to call. Yeah. 2 backdoor flush draws, gutter to the nuts, 2 pair. Don't think we're getting away from that one. Nor should we. So how about here? Do you anybody in favor of betting? With the ace queen jack 8, no backdoor flush draws. It's besides the gutter, it's basically the weakest, one of the weaker hands we show up with here, right? That still hits and blocks something. So since we do have some equity with the gutter, maybe it can be bet at some clip. You figure out what's out of position's leading range is supposed to be. Let me check that in a let me check that in a few minutes. Let me open a second instance. We should stack off then. Check because we. Yeah. That doesn't sound bad. And Desu. I'll tell you the leading range in a second. I don't know if I can do it for this board. I need to check. That one is in the library currently. Position. No, I don't have this exact spot for the out of position player in the library currently, so I cannot answer this one. PVC would go for the bluff, and I think it has some merit. The more I think about it, I kind of like it as a bluff. It's a bluff with equity, and with a jack blocker pair from the board, I think I kind of dig it. Be awesome if it's 100% bet. That'd be something. Against 50% bet size, there might not be any check raise at all, or very, very few. On this board, yeah. Well, I wouldn't say none at all. I mean, it depends if you're talking about GTO, then I would know, or in the real world, where I think we are getting check raised. Sometimes I got check raised here with a Saturn open ender for sure, like a 9-9, 10-7 type of deal. So I'm gonna go with the bet. I just said, wouldn't it be awesome if it's 100% bet? And awesome confirmed, man. I like that. And I believe the reasoning laid out is most that needs to be said about this one here. We have a bluff with equity. We can, if we get raise, we just let it be. We can sometimes we can reevaluate on the turn. If we want to barrel again, we could turn an 8, which would be curious. Yeah. And like even a jack rolling off, it's not just that we have the jack as an immediate blocker, we also have the queen as a future blocker, so we can continue on the jack rolling off or the queen rolling off, doesn't really matter. Cool, I like that. I like the 100% here. That's nifty. Ace is king 8. Always a size spot, right? If you raise this one, if you 3-bet this one and you see this kind of fluff, you go like, ugh, really? But I don't wanna. I'll give you a second. But I believe it's gonna be 100% spot here, just like the previous one. Shanghai Poker betting. Interesting. We do have a pair from the board. We do have the 2 backdoor flushes. Fair enough, fair enough. Personally, I'd go with the check, but maybe there's something about that bet. Let's see. Unblocking Jack 10, don't win as much protection versus Yeah. I like the added reasoning, Kinos. Sounds good to me. 100% check. All right. So even though we do have the two backdoor flush draws here, we kind of hate to get raised. Also, we don't have any additional blockers at all. 2 straights. And what you say, that we don't need as much protection against the range that's going to fold anyway, is a good point as well. King 10-10, so excellent blockers right away. Let me restart the poll, hang on. There we go. Turn on some lights so I don't look as gloomy as I do right now. Ah, that's better. And PVC further elaborating that benefit for the free card with 2 backdoor no relevant blockers. Yeah, we benefit a lot from seeing a free card, yeah. Shanghai Poker is saying raise, re-raise, all in. Was that one for the previous one with the aces? That seems like it's burning money. Steve actually setting up the bluff right away. Like a bit tricky, this one. I like having this one in my betting. Putting this one in my betting range. Previous one, Shanghai Poker, yeah. Now, mind you, when I say that seems like burning money, then that's exactly what I mean, that it seems like that. I'm not speaking from a position of absolute knowledge here, far from it. So I hope you don't take offense. I don't think that's the hand we want to do that with. What are those numbers for EV between -4? Right. That's when you set up, I'll just move this out of the way for a second. Actually, I probably don't need to. When you set up like what hands you wanna be training with. Like right now, it shows us all the hands that we have in our range right now. 100% of these hands have a range ranging from -5.4 BB, which is what we invested so far, up to +42 BB, which is of course huge. So would be like top set with the open-ender, top open-ender or something like that. Or top straight, probably. Like Jack 10-9-9. So if we lower this one to like 20%, and we click refresh hands, it's going to show us the weaker hands, that one that don't have as much equity, expected value. Yeah, so that's what that's for. So I just need to bring the window back into the foreground. Punja, hey, good to see you. Damn it. Oh, every time I do this, the window disappears again. Apparently, I'm not capable of learning. There you go. Yeah, I'd go with a bet here as well. Eddie is ready. That's a good nick. Yeah, my pleasure. So largely in favor of betting. I mean, checking and then starting to bluff on the turn, maybe. Is it going to be 100%? That'll be interesting. Close to. All right, and if we get called, I think on a lot of turns we continue barreling. Certainly on a jack, on a queen, like anything that doesn't pair the board, basically. I'd say. My luck, I normally turn the 10. And I'm out of position, and then I never know what to do. Is S9-7? Interesting one. Punja, it does go to YouTube. Right now I'm a little bit behind on the YouTube uploads, but it'll all get there. And I made a separate playlist. I have like my YouTube channel is nothing to write home about. I mostly use it to upload my streams and archive them there. But at the very least, I have playlists for everything. So for the monthly streams and for the study sessions. So you should be able to find it without a lot of hassle there. Everybody, am I alone in feeling sometimes I want to bet here? I mean, we don't block straights, but we do block, we have 2 pair, we have a backdoor flush draw. I think almost all ace combos are getting checked here. It's Doesn't sound wrong. Dizu come in for the bet. So I think, like, imagining me sitting at a table having that hand, I would probably check as well, but I'd be curious to see if there's some betting going on. We have good equity when we check here. Okay, absolutely no betting going on here. Right on. 2 pairs plus the backdoor, yeah. I like the additional thoughts, by the way, in the chat. They are helping me, and I'm sure they're helping everyone, so please keep them coming. It's 100% check, I guess. Right on the money, Eddie is ready. You are indeed ready. Very similar here. I'm not going to put the poll up for this one. I'd be shocked if there's a change here. If so, then we have something to discuss, I guess. No. The poll up for this one, however. Up 210 and the 2 backdoors. I mean, kind of blows if we get raised, but it's not the end of the world since we still have decent equity. Especially with the 2 backdoors. So personally, I'm going to go for the bet. PVC saying check raise. We are in position. That'll be a tricky one to pull off. So very much mixed here. Right now we have a 60-40 mix in the poll. Curious to see if the solver is going to have the same mix. If you bet, we have to stack off. Yeah, with the 2 backdoors. High equity bet, IMO. Kinos says, sounds good to me. Kinos, you seem to be right on the money. Let's see if you do it again. Yeah. Sometimes does get checked for the most part. 88%. 90% of the time does get bet. Slightly more profitable too. High EV bet, yeah. I figured. I like betting smaller. So I noticed that. So first of all, I noticed that's something that I did wrong. I had my bet sizes backwards in the past, and apparently the solver likes to sometimes bet a third out of position, from what I've seen. And so anywho, be that as it may, the solutions we have only have an option for check and a bet 50%, and I believe that is because they ran sims beforehand checking out other bet sizes, and the differences in EV are really small, and so they simplified it to go for a 50% bet sizing. Please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I read. What I seem to remember having read. And so it turns out betting 50% just as a general rule is fine. And if you then start to have some spots where you bet smaller, although I'd still do it sometimes as well, that's going to be tough to balance if you only have those once in a while, you know, which is probably why the solver doesn't do it. How well you fare doing that in the real world, entirely different story. Those sportsman sizing is always 33%. It is, honestly, it probably is for me too a lot. Chist Poker, what's the Mastermind bucket tool? It's a JNS PLO solver. It is a analytical software for stuff you already solve with a solver, for simulations ran with a solver. So you could either use your own simulations, or you could use the ones provided by the Mastermind. Soon we'll have like tons of them. Right now we have a limited subset. And yeah, you import Monker solutions. It doesn't like solve anything in real time or anything or at all. It needs those simulations on your hard drive somewhere already. But then you can do neat things like set up training scenarios. Yeah, get like graphs for like how does this category event behave in general here and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's not a solver. This tool itself doesn't solve anything as far as I know. And Chist Poker, that's a good question. And check if you want. Check back in this channel next week. I'll be doing a stream using visions. Maybe we'll see. just to see like what tool does what. Might be interesting. All right. King Jack Jack 10, Jack 10. So we flop the nuts, have 2 back doors. And I guess should a 10 roll off, we have rather wonderful blockers to the one hand that beats us. EVC says, no way you don't stack off with this hand in a 3-bit pot. Let's go back to that one, because I'm curious. I'm very eager to learn, which is the whole point why I'm doing these streams, because I need to learn this stuff. 10-9-8. Really? So it's a bet fold? No, it's not a bet. It's a bet call, right? I mean, then we're... So the king 10-9-8... Yeah, this in the foreground, so you know what... So you're saying the king 10-9-8, we bet it for 50%, so far so good, we get raised, and then we let go. I don't know, what do you guys think? Why bet, guys? We have the world. I mean, we don't have the redraw, but we blocked the redraw. So we saw... What did we see? When we had the redraw earlier, we bet for 100%. Like when we had the Queen Jack 10 with 2 backdoors. Two unblocking pairs is always a bet. Yeah, we're not blocking pairs. That's a good point. I think it's going to be... It's going to be a bet. Overall c-bet on this board is 24%, I believe. Let me double check in a second. Somewhere around that. Gonna go with the bet. And the checks have it. The bet ain't wrong. EV is exactly the same. But the checks are favored by the solver. 27% c-bet frequency. Oot. I heard it. It happened. Ariak. Thank you very much for that follow. Every time with the window being behind. Gosh darn it. All right. So we've seen that twice now, that with the flop nuts and no redraw to the higher straight, the solver prefers checking. Whereas the Queen Jack 10, what was it? Queen Jack 10. What was that, damn it? Queen Jack 10-6. There we also had a, with the Queen Jack 10-6, we also had a blocker, a low blocker to the low straight. And a redraw to a better straight as well. And that one was 100% bet, interestingly enough. So just want to remind you about that. Thank you, so. I guess on flush draw board it's about 14-16% c-bet. I don't know. Maybe we can go on a flush board later on. So hold on to the number. Like, what time is it? Yeah, we can probably do a few more on this board and then maybe select a different one. Right, so Ace King Jack Jack. What's the deal here? Personally, I'd bet it. Yeah, I mean, same board, but with a flush draw board. In the second half of the stream, let's say maybe another 10 minutes or so, we can switch boards and see if you have a flush board. We probably won't have the same board with a flush draw, but maybe we get something close, like 2 to a straight. We'll see. So I'd go for the bet here. Easy fold if you get raised. Not only is it a bet, it is a 100% bet. Find that interesting. That's one of 3 100% bets we had so far. One was the Ace Queen Jack 8 with no suits from this board. Well, at least no backdoor flush draw, I should clarify. And the other was the Queen Jack 10-6 with 2 backdoors and a 6 blocker. And the, flop nuts and redraw. Interesting. So bluffing there with the jacks is pretty huge, pretty large part of our bluffing range, of our betting range. And if we only get called like on a non-pairing turn, we can just continue barreling so much. So does this change anything? We had a similar-ish hand earlier, the ace 9-7, which was 100% check. This time we have the jack blocker and the 9. You blocked the nuts very hard. Oh, with the previous hand with the jacks, yeah. Also, welcome back, Almost G. And now I got the hiccups, so I apologize. So at runtime, I got 100% check this so far. I'm curious to see if... Previous one, yeah, I figured. Eddie is ready. Putting the trigger on the follow, thank you very much. Oh, no worries, Eddie is ready. The next week, I'll have more study streams. Looking forward to having you, maybe. Once again, thanks for checking it out in the first place and for following. So I'd go with the check. Curious to see if it's 100%. No. And that probably makes a difference, that jack. Also the fact that we're a little bit weaker, having no backdoors. The other ace we had 2 backdoors, backdoor flushes. There was the ace king 8. So also blocking a pair from the board, not the top pair, but I don't think that's the biggest part of the difference there. And here we have the jack. So that I find interesting. Also note that the expected value is exactly the same. Again, in GTO land. Cool. Ace king 9-9. Now that is an interesting one. Top set, but no blockers at all. And one backdoor flush draw and the hearts again. I wonder if these hearts are going to make a difference. So we'll check out different suit variations in a second. Me, I'd probably check and like hate life when a 10 rolls off, which it will 99 times out of 10 for me. No, I'm not that fatalistic, but sometimes it feels like that, doesn't it? So a lot of bets, which I find interesting from the get-go. I don't know. I'm gonna go. I don't have an opinion on this one. I'm gonna go with what you guys suggest, and the bets definitely have it. So curious to see if there's how the frequencies are, and the frequencies are very interesting. It is 100% check. Okay. Suit variations. We have a thingy for that. So 2 backdoors, yes please. And that's the only one that's basically 100%. Then we have a few mixed ones. So weaker ones where we one backdoor flush draw, block the hearts. Hang on, I think the kitty wants to be let in. Might be to want to protect checking range, helps to back up our strong backdoor flush draw, helps to back up our strong hand. We only have one backdoor flush draw on this one. Didn't we? I think we had hearts there as well. Yeah. Hang on, I need to... Oops, sorry about that. I need to let in the cat. Comes to scratching. Alright, so... The only one that gets bet is the one with... is one with 2 backdoor flushes. I think there are other with 2 black dwarf flushes, right? Where's the other one? Where's the one with spades? Oh, the one with spades we can't. Duh. Okay, yeah, because the 9 of spades is on the board. I was confused there for a second. Okay, cool. So, and there's already a huge difference if we are not ideally double suited with the same hand here. If the... Wait. We are ideally double suited in both. Okay, so I bet this is some solver voodoo, some randomizing going on there. Cool. To protect checking range, I think that sounds very, very good. That's a solver thing, yeah. It's what I file under solver voodoo. Agreed. Oh god. I don't know if I can deal with this name. I'm gonna go with Eddie and just ignore the rest. No offense, man. Thank you very much for the follow. I'm not good with names, man. At least not with Twitch names. Right. Oh, of course, the cat needs to be let out. It was in here for a whole minute. We got top 2 with a blocker and a backdoor flush draw. Now, we've had similar hands recently, but I'm not quite sure what came of it in terms of betting. Oh, I didn't start the poll. My bad. My bad. But you guys are good. Like in my previous streams, people put in numbers expecting me to do everything correctly, which obviously I don't because I forget to click buttons sometimes starting the poll. All right. So we block we have 2 pair, meaning we block 2 sets. We have the open ender, backdoor flush draw. So personally, I'd probably bet it, but honestly, I think it's mostly a check, sometimes a bet, but I could also be completely wrong. I mean, I say personally, I would bet it. Maybe not always, but more often than not. See if I'm wrong. I have a feeling I might be. All right, let's see. I'm going to go with the bet. And it is sometimes a bet, but 3/4 of the time it is a check. Actually, EV-wise, it's slightly ahead, but we're still gonna we still ahead life if we get raised. So, yeah. Check sounds good to me. Backdoor net flush draw is very good to better though. Keynos, yeah. Sounds good, and you seem to be validated by reality here. King Jack 9, so if we have a top pair with a Jack. Yeah, I'm curious too. I'm not gonna say what I would do on this one. I'm curious to see what your answers are gonna be. Kippery in the house. Good to see you, mate. Be a fellow PLO streamer. Yes, cutoff did check the flop. Ah, those sneezes still don't quite get there. There's little that is more frustrating in everyday life. Except maybe watching the news. Ah. All right. Yeah, I'm put mine in here as well. And I would actually guess that this gets bet at a way higher frequency than checked. Lacking nut runouts. Yeah, I would bet this. I would put this in the 100% bluffing category, not necessarily 100% betting. But if I bet here, then it's just a 100% bluff. Well, okay, sure, we have that gutter. But I'm gonna go with 2, and I would guess it's gonna be a higher frequency bet. Yeah. I almost went as far as to say it's probably gonna be a 100% bet. Because it's similar-ish, or very similar to a spot we had earlier. It's a good bluffing hand. It's bluffing with a gutter. Bluffing with equity, the solver always seems to prefer. Mix, maybe. Well, technically it is still a mix. But there you can see. Yeah, so bluffing with the blocker to the nuts and a gutter to the second nuts. Seems kind of neat. Also, potentially an interesting one. Maybe not. Maybe it's completely boring. Everybody checking, huh? For the record, I'm going to check this as well. But I'm curious to see if, like, our side cards really don't add anything at all, except the nut flush draw. That maybe there's some frequency of betting here. Like maybe 15, 20%. Kino saying always 1. Yeah, I'd always check. Curious to see what the solver would do. 100%. All right. Quick and simple. Ace check 10. Wait, where's the thingy? There's the thingy. Rebetting here. We had similar ones. So I'll give you a second. So here's the thing. First of all, up until now, at runtime, I believe this is going to be like close to 100% bet for me. I am going to go with the check option here. Because we had a very similar hand earlier, and that was predominantly checked. Also, it's, you know, it's protecting our checkback range for sure. Yeah, we with bet 2 backdoor flush was, I think that was, and mixing checks with the single suited one, and not just mixing checks. I believe it was like 70, 75, 25 or something. And here it's even clearer. All right, so for one thing, we don't block a pair from the board, which is what I assume would also be an argument for betting. But the 2 jacks, if the 10 rolls off, if the 10 rolls off, I guess we can still start betting then. What other reasons do you guys feel there are? And as I said, at runtime up until today, I would have bet this 100%, but I went for the check here and expected to see a high percentage because of a hand we had earlier. And we're also going to check this one out for double suited in a second. I don't know where to begin how to pronounce his name. I'm going to go with T.S. Zis. Just going to go with that. Thank you for the follow. Excuse me. All right. Kippy is saying it's much simpler than that. The check is just to protect your checking range. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Can you check is X backdoor flush draw? Yeah, we're gonna check all the ace jack 10s. That's a good plan. Oh, hang on, that's variations from an earlier hand. We need to do this in this window. this one out of the way. Grab it. I don't think we need to put double suited in here. Well, I actually don't want to, because we are going to shop with single suited hands. But let's do go with, you wanted to see, oh, you didn't specify the suits. So what are the frequencies here? If we're suited to the nuts, this turns like a very similar hand to this. Being suited to the nuts here turns this from a 100% check into a 75% bet. With one additional backdoor flush draw blocker. They're very mixed on the whole, first of all. Let's go with double suited. And even like the ones we bet the most double suited are is the one where we again have the one suit that is not on the board. And that holds true for all the ones that go up to 50% mixed strategy. Whereas the very best ones we check 100%. Wait, didn't this one show up here then? 100%? I'm confused. What the hell? Oh, because having a single suited, duh. Of course it's not going to show up there. Yeah, duh. Okay, well, I caught it. Could be saying very mixed. I mean, it's best a bit more not back to flush draw, but other than that, same strength and checks and bets. You can find any easy patterns there, yeah. Pick some suits to check and some to bet. Yeah, yeah. Solve a voodoo again. One pattern that has become clear again over the last sessions is if we have two hearts, two of the suits that are not on the board, which so far have been hearts always, then the solver tends to favor the bet. To pick the checks and the bets, yeah. And it's AEV is same for both lines. Yeah, so mixed strategy, protect the check back range. Sounds good to me. All right. So this time around we have the nuts, we have one backdoor flush, and we block two pair. So it checks two hearts too. Yeah, that's true. That's true, yeah. Good point. Thank you for pointing it out. Yeah. You're right, there's no pattern really discernible there. Only thing to notice is that if the solver bets, it's a little bit more often with the weaker ones. Like here, that's the only double suited one that has both suits from this board that it bets at a close to 50% frequency. All right. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. Oh, I use this daily on the stream, Kippery, of course. Yeah, sure. I know, mostly I do this, but for once I'm gonna step out of line and then bam, get smacked down by stepping out of line. For stepping out of line. That's a check for sure, Reese says. You know what? I was initially leaning towards actually venturing that it's gonna be a high frequency bet, but seeing that we block two pair, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, I was saying that earlier, Capri, that in reality, when I see I have the nuts here, I tend to bet quite a bit. So at least sometimes checking back to protect that range, maybe not a bad idea. Gonna go with the check, but I'm still curious to see if we're gonna see a high frequency bet. Actually, I think we might. No, 100% check. Capri had it. Keena's saying 2, I'd bet. To free roll against Jack 10. Though I guess you mean 2 backdoor flushes. Or you mean you pick option 2 and you'd bet. I think that's what it means. You check nuts versus me only. Okay, yeah. That's true. I mean, that's not true. Damn it. Need to learn this. Need to learn how to do this better against you, Kippery. You hear me talk about what I'm gonna do in the future. Damn. Because for those of you who don't know, you little trickster. I can just imagine the facial expression you'd have if you say that to my face. It'd be an hilarious one. Now, for those of you who don't know, Kippery is also a streamer, also a microstakes coach. And he streams for Run once as well. We play a lot of hands together. So there's some history there for sure. Here. Oh, for sure. The Phil Galfond comeback yesterday was the nuts. Oh, a treat to watch. Yeah, and, by the way, we'll be raiding the channel in roughly 20 minutes. So here, we have a pair from the board and nice future blockers. Do you think we ever bet at this point? You can certainly, like, no matter what we do here, let's just magically transport to the turn. If it's a jack or 10, we certainly can start betting and should be betting a lot, I would assume. TSC. Gonna go with that. Saying checking. So up until now, I would check this as well. I'll be interested to see if we're gonna get surprised here. Boy, do we get surprised. So what's the deal? The ace-high spade blocker, probably not a huge factor. Backdoor flush draw, probably not a huge factor, because we're betting as a bluff here, right? Oh, I like all 3 of those lines, Kinas. Frankly, you've been, liked everything you said in the chat so far. It's been very helpful. At the very least, very insightful, so thank you. Saying we have 2 future blockers. Obviously, yes, but still needs to be pointed out. The 9 helps a lot, very important as well, blocking top set. And the queens need protection. And you know what else is probably a factor? That we sort of block the jack more so, and a little bit the 10 by proxy. We block a queen jack, we block ace jack, we block 10-9, we block jack 9. So I wonder, what other hands can we check out? Queen 10-9. There's really no similar hands we could check out. I wonder if, like the king, queen 9, but I don't know if we probably don't 3-bet that one. King, queen 9. Give it a shot. I don't know if we're ever going to show up with this one here. Queen 9. No. Yeah, so I think everything that Kinas said there is very important. And I believe the blocking by proxy also has an influence. King jack jack. Relatively similar to a hand we had earlier. Yeah, but I like the queens need protection line the most. I hadn't even thought of that we have a made hand that might want to be protected. What are we protecting against? I guess a king turning, like with 50% bet the king turning, an ace. 8, 7, 9 pairing. Well, the 9 in that case wouldn't be a big deal. Yeah. More aggressively. Do I still have the other instance of this open? Let me see something here. Sorry, I'll keep this up for a moment. We've checked out some out of position spots in 3-bit pots, and I don't remember the leading frequencies. See what I can find. So here we see a lot of betting now, and I believe that is going to be very correct. Some checking back going on, but mostly betting. So I'll go through the next hands. In the meantime, I'll try to figure out what the donking ranges are, the leading ranges from the cutoff. So this time we don't... interesting. I guess we have fewer backdoor flush draw blockers, if that makes any difference at all. But other than that, we don't block the 9s. Yeah, there must be leading range. Yeah, I'm sure on this board, yeah. I lead there at some frequency for sure, yeah. Secured Phil's winning session today. Placed a bet for Winnie to win. I never win with my bets. Oh god. Counter jinxing it, huh? I hope it works. Well, I'm not sure who I'm rooting for, Kippery. I like both of you. Let's see what post-flop spots can I find. Well, there I only have small blind versus button. But I'll try to set up a similar spot. Do also today. So I'm going to go with the bet here as well, 100%. So no surprise there. Not again, at least, after we've been surprised a couple of minutes ago. Put this one up. Now, going by what Kina said a moment ago, here's what the consensus is going to be here, and even more so what the solution is going to be here. Small blind versus button. Still working on the post-flop thingy. Poker checking here. So with the 9 blocking the top pair or the top set, whatever. And you know the thought of that our kings want some protection here. Maybe this gets bet as a decent clip as well. So it does get bet often enough at the very least. Let's see for suit variations where we have 2 high suits. So again, here the one that gets bet at a high frequency is either 2 nut flush draws or the one with the hearts. Actually 2 with the hearts. With the one suit that is not on board. All right. And it is set and the no blockers 2 straights, but a set and a pair blocking our own, and a 9 blocking our own outs. Backdoor flush draw. The Y mode. Hey, my man. Welcome back, sir. This is the so-called bucket tool, a tool to use existing Monk solver simulations to analyze stuff pre-flop, post-flop, train yourself, have it set up quizzes as we've done here. It is part of the Mastermind. Right now it is in beta, and if you're a Mastermind member, which is $99 a month, I believe, then you currently enjoy free access to this bucket tool and to many buckets to many marker simulations to import into it. At some point, I heard there might be an extra charge for it, but don't quote me on that last part. Right now, it's free for Mastermind members. So, even though I'm biased towards Mastermind a little bit, I'd still call it a very good deal. Yeah, and you don't need to buy marker, because you're gonna... also, you know, not only is marker expensive, you need a very expensive PC or rent a very expensive PC to run the simulations in reasonable time frames. And even then, it's going to take you a while. Whereas with this tool, we are soon going to be fully hooked up to the Mastermind cloud, be able to download and import all the simulations they've ever run, which is going to be, I believe the technical term is a shit ton. So we have a lot of checks here, and I think that sounds pretty good to me. It wouldn't be, yeah, should have waited a second. I was going to say I wouldn't be shocked if it's 100% check. Flapping the nuts, no immediate redraw. What do you guys do? Almost done on the about the question about the leading ranges from the out of position player here. Yes. To Davai mode. That's exactly the case. About 500, but you need a good computer. Yeah, Monker itself is still, you know. Shit, I'm getting sort of issue here. Monker itself is not super expensive. 500 bucks is still a lot of money. It would be to me. But the computer is going to be the problem. Because for Monker, like, people advise you to have at least 128, more likely 256 gigabytes of memory. For one thing. Moving this out of the way. Something. So I'm not going to be able to answer about the leading thing right now. When I try to do that, I get some sort of error from the tool. I don't know if it's my mistake or might be a bug in it is still in beta, you know, it's a fresh released piece of software. So yeah, you're gonna have to take a rain check on me answering about the out of position leading range. Kipper, yeah, I heard that you want to buy a big computer. Way to go, indeed. The Weimar saying, Justin, could you shortly summarize how the leading range should roughly be constructed? Yeah, that's an excellent question, and I don't have a very qualified. Oh no, that by the way, the answer wasn't geared towards you, Weimar. Somebody was asking that a little bit earlier. And I was trying to figure it out in the meantime. I would say we lead here with some excellent blockers, tens or jacks sometimes. Sometimes the nuts, stuff like that. I would guess. I don't know. What does chat think? What do you guys think? So what was did I even set up a poll for this one? I'm sorry. This time I didn't. So let's just see what it is. It's gonna be mixed. I'm gonna bet, and it's not mixed. Okay, so we have no immediate way to improve. Don't block anything from the board, so it's more likely that we do get called. All right, no mixing here. I think that is fairly interesting. Is ace jack 10. So this time those are the first aces that might be bet here. I don't know. Well, they probably will be at some frequency. The question is what frequency? Kenneth? Okay, I'm officially retiring that lame joke now. Did it twice in 2 days. Bet here. Yeah. I'm trying to figure like what the frequencies are going to be. Maybe this is going to be 100% bet. No, but it's still mixed, but heavily in favor of betting. The equities, or the expected value rather, is exactly the same. The Y mode, that sounds reasonable to me. Maybe backdoor combo draws. I don't know about those. Those sound like medium strong hands, and maybe we want to be a bit more polarized here. On a board like this. So maybe the medium strong hands just check, because they can, you know, check call. Maybe. You know, I'm doing these study sessions because I still have a lot to learn, which is why my questions when I ask chat about an opinion are never rhetorical. All right, next hand is King Jack. Very similar to previous spots, so I'm first of all going to be curious to see the answers and what is correct, and also the frequencies, if there are frequencies plural. The only difference to the spot to similar hands from earlier is that this time we don't block a pair. We had a very similar hand with the... Damn it, what was it? Is King 8? Poker turns, so I suppose leading for the combo draws. Could be a thing, yeah. So at first glance, at first thought, I guess it doesn't sound horrible. Kino's saying mixed here ammo. So what do you guys think? What's gonna be the mix, as in which one's gonna be favored, betting or checking? Oh, maybe that's something I'm gonna Oh yeah, I just thought of that. I'm gonna add that as options to the polls in the future. Like have one where it's gonna say check, like mixed but more checking and mixed but more betting. I'm gonna go with the bet. And I would guess we see more betting than checking. Turns out I would guess entirely wrong. Backdoor straights, backdoor spades, backdoor probably in betting. So mode, yeah, I would have bet too. So one difference, apparently, one big difference is apparently that we don't block a pair from the board. What is this one with the ace king 9? Let's see. Oh, we already had that one with the ace king 9. That was double suited. Fair enough. Let's go with single suited. And there are some that are betting in a decent clip. Turns out I'm a fish. I learned it every day. But then there are also spots every day where like, man, I did that well. Only to be right back to the first instance a minute later. So there's betting going on with the single suited ones. Some at decent frequency. I don't know why the sorting is kind of weird here.
Maybe sort this again. Nah, it doesn't really change it. So even with single suited ones, there's betting going on. What can we see? The high frequency ones. Not suit, which we don't have in our example. Not suit. No suit. At least none that helps us. So the very weakest one. Not suit. And here it's very mixed. Another high one at 70%. Okay, so there's no really a pattern here except for the very weakest one. Solver prefers to bet. Yeah, exactly. Is King Jack with different suits bet? I hope that already answers this question, Keenus. Double suited we had earlier, I do remember that. All right. So I guess, going back to the last hand, one thing it would make a difference, or it makes a difference there, we don't have a pair, we're not suited to the nuts. Oh, right. No, that didn't answer that question because you were asking about ace, king, jack. That's a good question. No, 100%. Let's see, I would suspect single suited ones, maybe? Okay, no. 3% is a no. Is this gonna be 100% check? Is there some mixing? Is this maybe a high percentage bluff? The 4... Yeah, the 4 is probably a little bearing on the hand, if any. Yeah, with a 9 blocker. And we checked it out with the 8. Let me just redo that. I think there the frequencies were a little lower. Yeah, the huge shift towards checking when we don't block the top pair. So here, what do you guys think? Just always a plain old quote-unquote boring check, or what's the deal? Do we get to bluff this one? I guess the downside is we block kings and queens. Which are, if we bluff, are definitely hands we want our opponent that he can have, but that we want him to fold. That we want him to have and want him to fold. Less likely he has those. So I'd say it's probably going to be 100% check, maybe? Keenus looks like a decent bluff with backdoor nut flush draw. Yeah. I also see that part. So I'll be curious about the frequencies. And I think, as a bluff, it certainly qualifies. It is a bluff with some backdoor equity in this case. But I'd be curious. I'm going to say we're going to see a high frequency checking, if not 100%. All right, 100% here. Let's turn this into the ace, king, queen, 9. Or but ace, king, queen, jack. Although we might have had that one before, but even if we did, repetition is always good. Yeah, with the gutter, there is some betting going on here. And maybe with the single suited one, I don't know how often we raise that. Doesn't really change much in this case with the single suited one. Although, well, actually we have some higher frequencies. So we're betting at higher frequencies. The overall bet frequency is lower with single suited. All right. Yeah. Block opponent's top range, unblock his low range. Probably decent words to live by. Scrimitsu, thank you very much for following. Appreciate it. Top pair, gutter. So, yeah, I got my mind up about this one already. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, man. It's almost over though, and actually this is gonna be the last hand we're gonna check out. Cause the girlfriend challenge is on. And I'm invited to mod. Phil is on, just saw. Thank you though, Kipri. So last hand here, let's still give you a moment to figure out what we want to do. I would suggest that this is a pretty strong bluffing candidate here. Gets more checked. All right. All right. So let's head over to the, thank you by the way for the fun Davai mode. I'm gonna put in the raid for the Run At Once Poker channel already. Right, so a few last closing words. First of all, thank you for being here. This is gonna be a thing more or less regularly on this channel. I don't know quite when next week. Probably Monday will be the next study stream. I don't know if I do one before that. So right now I'm assuming Monday is going to be the day. And at least 2 coming up next week in the afternoon. Similar times probably, starting at 3:30 Central European time. Always announce it on Twitter if you care. We have a home game tomorrow, in case you guys are into playing the microstakes free rolls. It's like a €6 prize pool and a €1 bounty in my head, but it's fun, and I normally stream it. So maybe that's something for you. And that's all. That's all I got. No more advertising, no more nothing. Just me appreciating you being here, and maybe I'll see you next week. Also, there will be a poker stream later tonight, if that's your thing, watching me play PLO 20. That's it. That's all I got. Thanks for watching, everyone, and see you soon. Cheers.